What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Anton on One podcast. I know it's been a while, it's been too long. And I'm actually happy. I'm more relieved actually to be finally coming out with another episode. It's been in the back of my head for so long. I've been wanting to put this episode out. We're gonna have just an audio only introduction for this one. Not really feeling so well. My room's a mess, so you're just gonna hear my voice for this intro. I recorded this episode back in the end of March. So a lot has been going on since then. I got really busy. I'm planning for my next episode to be sort of like a life update, career update on what I've been doing. But the ones that have really been taking my time and my mental energy and what I've dedicated my attention to was my content creation. So my content creation and DJing. So I recently started working with SNR. So I produce videos for their TikTok account. I still create videos for my brother on enriquefausto.cfa on TikTok. And I've gotten into DJing a little more. I've been doing it as a hobby for a couple of years, but parang this year it kind of picked up more as an actual profession with real gigs. So this episode, it's another in-person episode. I think I don't want to do Zoom interviews and episodes anymore for obvious reasons. I went all the way to Pampanga. It's with my good friend Aina Aquino. She set up a business there during the pandemic. She left her corporate job. She took up life coaching. She dabbled in psychology. Although it's a different field, different work, where she came from and what she's doing now to what I'm doing, I saw a lot of similarities in the thought processes and the motivations and just the entire act of trying to figure things out, trying out new things, trying to see what should I be doing compared to what I've been doing before, or what I've been taught that I should be doing. So I won't let you guys wait any longer, but before that, I also want to give a shout out to Kino Papa once again. So you've been hearing that intro for the past couple of years. That intro. We got a new one. We got a funkier one. Something I feel like it's a little more appropriate. Something more in theme with my personality, with my music taste. And yeah, I hope you guys like it. Let me know what you think. Let's get the show started in 1, 2. Okay, so right now I'm in Pampanga and I'm very happy to say that I'm finally doing another in-person podcast with a good friend of mine who happens to be a very multifaceted, multi-talented person. Former corporate slave.
Yeah.
And then now you're an entrepreneur, life coach, podcaster, apparently also a professor. I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
How would you, when someone asks you, like, hey, Aina, what do you do? Like, how do you answer that?
How do I start? I think that's a really complicated question, but I feel like it also depends with who I talk to.
Mm-hmm.
First level would probably be entrepreneur because I think
Okay.
it's just a little simple and straightforward to say.
Is that what you answer in the ano? Wow, I also love how if it's on Zoom and I wanna ask a follow-up question, sometimes you get cut kasi parang you hear it 2 seconds later. But anyway, my real-time question is, when you like fly in the plane, then you have to write your occupation. Is it entrepreneur? Is that the first one you write?
Well, I haven't ridden a plane since the pandemic, but I think that would be what I'd write down.
Entrepreneur.
These days.
Okay. So you say entrepreneur. If it's this one, I like this one. If it's a random tita, tipong mom of your friend, you're not gonna see her ever again. But then, oh, what do you do pala? How are you na? Ganyan. What is that? What's the answer?
I think I'd say that I run a coffee shop and I help with the family business because this technically is also part of the family.
This whole complex, I don't know how to say this whole area that we're in. So we're here at your cafe. There's also a fitness gym. There are also a lot of badminton courts. There's also a lot of animals.
Yeah.
Did your family do this type of business like before pa, or what was the family business before this was created?
All of this. Okay. I think the space before was a bit more recreational.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing that they focused on in terms of business would be the badminton courts that they did. It was just more of a fitness space and rental space. But I think a lot of the other areas was just more of an opportunity for us to be able to relax or recharge or reconnect. Because back then, there were no establishments in this area. So it was like our little haven or space away from work or away from, everyday things.
As someone who grew up in Pampanga, do you like it that there are a lot of like establishments na here?
I think I'm learning to appreciate having establishments around because it allows me to, find that everything's accessible here. Like I don't feel like I have to live in Manila anymore to, get all of these things.
Yeah.
But I'm also appreciating that there are a lot of small homegrown businesses that are being set up here that you get to support and you feel that it's a bit more local, a bit more slow than the busyness of like Manila.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you mentioned like businesses that are growing and popping up during the pandemic, I noticed a lot of Instagram. Like growing up in Meta Manila, city boy, and that shit. Puro Instagram stores lang ganun. In Pampanga, did you see a lot of like local, parang people starting businesses? Like did that happen also here in Pampanga?
Yeah, I'd say so. So I think a lot of small businesses here were also a source of inspiration for us when we were setting up. Like I
Okay.
don't think I'd see them as competition, for
Yeah.
example, but more of people that I learn from and can also support.
Even if it's a cafe also.
Yeah. Even if it's a cafe. And I think that's really a mindset that I want to be able to carry out as we continue to, set up our business or
Mhm.
even grow or expand in the future.
Speaking of mindset, pero wait lang, 5 seconds. Shop ng brownie. um, Speaking of mindset, so you took up ME, Ateneo. Like
Yeah.
there's my brother was MC, was ME, my dad was ME. There's this like path na yun. If you go Ateneo and you go ME specifically, I didn't go
Yeah.
ME, but if you go ME specifically, you're gonna get one of these big corporate jobs. And you had that job. You worked in J&J as a
I was a trainee, so I did marketing and sales.
marketing and
before.
sales. The ME, like I'm thinking like either finance or one of those stuff. And you were in that path.
Yeah.
What was the mindset? Like was there a shift somewhere? Was this always in your plan to run your own business at this age? Are you 96 also?
I'm 97.
97.
Yeah.
Pretty much 25. Like pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Was that in your plan all along?
No. So I had no idea that this was gonna happen, even during the time that I resigned.
Uh-huh.
I think when I graduated, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. A typical,
Just like everyone.
Yeah, like typical college graduate. I had no idea what plans I had for myself, and because I was in ME. It felt very natural for me to go towards the corporate route, get
Yeah.
training, all of these things. And I think a management trainee role is pretty much the role that, what a capable college student
Yeah.
who wouldn't know what to do next would do.
Di
I
ba
think
management
that's-
training kasi like, you do a bunch of
Random
you do the different things kasi.
Yeah,
Okay.
you go through a bunch of roles and then you try to figure out from there what it is you really want towards the end
Uh-huh.
of your stint. So, not knowing what to do next, I think I just found myself going towards that trajectory or that path. So I think during that time, that was a time for me to really reflect nga if I wanted to do marketing or sales because
Yeah.
that was where I focused on
This is pre-pandemic pala, by the way.
Yeah.
So okay.
right
Sorry.
before the pandemic. And then I think that's when the crisis happened for me,
Uh-huh.
the career crisis. But I was wondering, like I realized towards the end of my stint during the pandemic, I was about to graduate and I still didn't know what I wanted to do here. Like, did I really want marketing? Did I really want sales? Or was there something more that I was looking for? And I
Okay.
think that's when the thought started for me that maybe there are other things that I also want to be able to consider.
Do you remember what triggered or inspired those thoughts? Like, if I can just imagine that, because me, when I went to college, I took up Comtech, which I feel like is the management trainee course of Ateneo. It's in SOM. So my parents kasi both Ateneo, and they're saying that go School of Management.
Yeah.
It's SOM, but it's not. Parang if you think of a Comtech grad, there's no like one specific job. Like there's some communications, there's some marketing, there's some IT. So it's also like I go
A
there
bit of
because I don't know
everything.
what I want to do, and I feel like I've just been in that since college till now. Like it's still the same. Like what do I want to do? Trying to be aware, ganun. But if you go to the ME path, kasi how I imagine it and how I see my brother and other people, it's pretty fixed. Like you see the concrete road that you are going to pass. Like was there something that kind of snapped you out of it? Na okay, mate, I think I should rethink this type of thing.
Yeah, I think my reflection or thinking process then was, well, at the time when I graduated was, if I graduate, the only options for me are there, like marketing, sales,
Yeah,
finance, consulting.
Which makes it kind of simpler in a way, kasi if you have, I think since I have all the choices in the world, sometimes it's, I don't want to choose at all.
Yeah.
But since you had like 2-3 choices, did it make it simpler?
I think it did at the time because
Uh-huh.
I was just trying a lot of things in the business realm, in the corporate realm, and I had a sense of what it is interested me the most among those things.
Yes.
And I think during that time, I was thinking na like I liked marketing and sales the most of all of the functions that I could consider.
Yeah.
But I think the more I thought about it, the more I realized that like I didn't really like the day-to-day work, and I tried to figure out what was it about marketing, for example, that stood out from me versus
Gets.
everything else. And I think from thinking about that, I realized na the things that I enjoyed the most was like trying to understand people, like consumer insighting, those kinds of
Oh,
things.
okay.
And then I ended up thinking na is that really what I want to learn about people? Do I really want to learn something so that I can help increase sales in the business?
Uh-huh.
I think that's when I realized na maybe I just like learning more about people but not necessarily in a marketing sense or setup.
Okay.
And I think that's when, deeper ideas came in. Like I really want to get to know people in a deeper level more than that. And that's what segued things into this space. But of course there are also other things, like other people along the way who helped
Yeah.
me discern that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go to the journey. So you're in your job, pre-pandemic. Like, what was the first step you took that going out of that, leaving the corporate job and entering the, because now it's like parang 2 years fast forward na from
In
you
the making.
leaving your job and everything. What was the first step?
I think the first step for me wasn't even really a first step. I just so happened, it so happened that it was the pandemic, diba? So a lot of people were just talking to each other. Parang I had a lot of catch-ups with people about where they were in their lives. And it just felt natural for me to talk about, these are actually my concerns now,
Okay.
things I'm thinking about, but I had no idea what to do about it. And then it so happened that I got to talk to one of our friends. He's also ME, then he's my blockmate.
What's his name?
Wax.
Santos.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yo,
And
he
yeah,
was in
yeah.
my. Wow, he's the wise old man in
Yeah,
both
he
of our
is.
journeys. Okay, and
So anyway, I got to catch up with him, and then he told me that he was leaving his finance role to get into
Psych.
to get into therapy and stuff like that. And I realized then that that was something that I think it clicked for me, that I didn't realize that there were other things outside the business functions that I could
He
consider.
was ME also, diba?
Yeah, yeah.
And here he is doing something not ME.
Yeah. And I think
Mm.
that planted a seed in my head that, maybe there are other things, other opportunities that I can also take or consider. And so that interested me because I never also did therapy myself. For example, I had no idea what that was. But I did know that I liked getting to know people in that sense. So I think from there, a journey started of me trying to, read a lot on things, to talk to different people.
Was this specifically on psychology or just the whole? It's not what. Parang it's out of the three choices I thought I had.
I think it's a mix of both.
Uh-huh.
So I read a lot on, or I tried to hear a lot also of different stories with people doing things different from what they expected. And at the same time, I tried to just follow my interests. So, for example, if there was a book that interested me, I would read up on it. Or if there was a person whose life I thought was a bit different or a bit interesting, I would try to engage in a conversation with them.
Do you remember any of the books or just one example of the book or like a story of a person that stuck to you?
That stuck to me. Okay. I think one book that really stuck to me would be Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by Laurie Gottlieb.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's her story is that it's a memoir, so it's a story about her life and like the different clients she had as a therapist. But before that, she also took on a different job. So she used to be a writer.
Uh-huh.
She used to write, I think, for series and films, and then eventually books. And then, like in her mid-40s, pa, did she realized that she wanted to also do therapy.
No,
And
so
then,
that's when she started.
yeah, that's when she started, and it's a story of like her clients learning about themselves and also her learning about herself in
through
the
learning
process.
about other.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
And then I think that's when it kind of hit for me that, hey, maybe this is something I actually want to consider. But I was still afraid at the time because I had no idea how it was like in the Philippines. I knew no one in the space of psych because I was surrounded by business people,
Yeah.
right? And then I think that was when I tried to like ask people na around na, hey, do you know any psych people here in the Philippines?
Oh, okay.
And I had friends refer me to people as in strangers, ganon, and I just wanted to engage with them. And then I think that's what started it na, okay, maybe this is something that I want to be able to try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So doing that psych thing, like so you went and tried. You had the whole. Would you call it like a psych phase?
Yeah. Well, actually, I was kind of afraid to also commit because parang master's in psych in the Philippines is so long, especially because I'm not a psych graduate.
So you gotta take up a lot of like pre-psych
prerequisites
stuff.
and stuff. So that's when coaching came into place because I thought it was like the baby step
A
for
bridge
me.
version. Oh yeah, parang okay, yeah.
It was
yeah,
a bridge for me to go into that because like so I did a lot of research like what are accredited coaching spaces globally or here in the Philippines, and then I just came across this random website.
What's it called?
It's called Coach Masters Academy. So like they're a coaching they're a coaching provider in Singapore, based in Singapore. So like I had no idea who they were or anything, but I just wanted to like send in a random email just to see like if there's openings or if there's something I want to consider. Then I didn't know that I ended up talking to the founder.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's also like the main teacher kasi there. And I think that conversation with him made me realize, hey, I think this is something I really want to try. Because I was so amazed with how he was able to engage in the conversation. Like, I really feel like I was sold after that one
Well,
conversation
that guy's the
with
founder.
him.
Must be good. Must
Yeah,
be. Do you
yeah.
remember what's his name?
His name is Ben.
Ben.
Yeah. And then I think from there, because I was still working my corporate job at the time, like these were things I was doing after work. So I started.
This is while you were still working.
Yeah, I was still working. I was just exploring things, exploring options. And then I think I realized then that I was really looking forward to those evening classes that I had more than my day job. And the more that I immersed myself in that space, the more I enjoyed and the more I saw more opportunities or possibilities. And I think I realized that I wanted to put more of my energy here that I couldn't be able to do if I was just working full time and doing this in the evenings and stuff.
I find that super interesting. But specifically, I hear a bunch of stories of this, how you have your main thing, your job. So that's the one that comes after your name. Like it's part of your identity.
Yeah.
And then in your extra time, that's when you do this other thing. And then that's when you realize, shit, this is what I want. But then in that whole, do you think that you would have fallen in love with the whole coaching thing if you didn't have the job? Parang, does there have to be that contrast kaya of like, you're required to do these things. So the little time you have left, that's what you use to figure out the thing that you actually like to do. Do you think that there has to be that balance of the job, the one that you're not really meant to do, for you to figure out what it is you're supposed to do?
I don't think I think it's a case-to-case scenario. It doesn't have to be the case all the time. But having a full-time job and also seeing what you enjoy outside of work also helps you like see things relatively or in perspective. I think it puts things into perspective that you see that, hey, my energy is different here than where it is when I work a certain job. So I think it also helps in that sense.
But do you think that if you didn't have the job at all and you just had those night classes, do you feel like it would feel the same? Like, do you think you'd like it as much pa rin? Or is it yung because it's my job, and then this thing which isn't my job, I actually like this one?
I think it helps with the feeling, like the feeling of excitement. But I would also say that maybe that would be something I would still have considered because I did enjoy it that much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when did you make the decision to leave the corporate job? So here in the timeline we're in, you're taking night classes, you're still working during the day. When did you finally take that leap?
I think I took the leap around April. Before that, I did a series of conversations also with people at work. I had a couple of... I didn't really know what I wanted to do yet, but I had a couple of ideas of things I wanted to explore. So I knew, for example, that I wanted to like study further. I knew that I wanted to set something up, even though I didn't know what it was then.
You knew that you wanted to set something up.
Yeah, and I knew that I just needed more time to be able to figure that out, like what that would be. And then I had a series of conversations with people at work, my mentors there, and what was good was that they also gave me the encouragement to also take that leap.
As in the people in your job?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to force you to stay or anything?
No. And I think that was what helped me also a lot. Because at first I was afraid to like say things, right? Because they might, take it against me or anything. But I appreciated that they were actually able to guide me, and then that's when I knew that they were really, guides or friends or mentors more than just doing the typical 9 to 6 or 8 to 5.
How did the conversation with your parents go though?
I think that was also another thing I was worried about because I was afraid of what they would think or what they would have to say. Initially, I wouldn't say it went so well also. Yeah, because
Okay, interesting.
yeah. And I think it had to do with the fact that they also had no idea what was out there in that space.
Yeah. Normal parent stuff.
Yeah,
Like if you
yeah.
tell them, oh, I don't want to do this, and then you're not sure kasi what this you want to do. Normal lang that they're gonna be like, oh,
Yeah.
wala akong plano, ganon.
Yeah, so I think I understand that also came from a place of concern.
Yeah.
Because of course they only want what's best for you, and typically they know like these are certain paths like corporate's gonna
And this is
help
what
you.
worked for me.
Yeah. Or business, like a
Uh-huh.
really specific kind of business would work for you. So when I just said that I wanted to explore the space, I think they were just worried because they also, I think there's a lot of stigma also around psych, right? And
Which I'm not familiar yet with the.
so for example, some things would be, at least nung time ng parents ko, a concern was that, psych is where you go if you don't know what you want to do next.
Oh,
Nung
is
time
it?
yeah,
That
nung
was
time-
okay.
Yeah. So I get where that came from because psych's like a relatively new space then
Mhm.
versus other sciences.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that therapy is still something that
Yeah.
people have to. I've never tried. The only therapy session I've tried is with Wax.
Uh-huh.
He had a class that he had to practice therapy, so he practiced on me.
Yeah.
Like that is so far the only.
Experience,
That's
right?
my own, like, not official of therapy.
And there's also, I guess, a fear around if you talk to people who are like that, you might end up becoming really sad or really depressed,
okay.
and they're worried about, your health also. And I think that's where a lot of the concerns came in for them.
Yeah.
But I think it was just important also for me to kind of state my intentions or why I wanted to
Yeah.
do this. Reasons why I wanted to explore the space, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to end up like this because of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what helped. That they knew that this was just a time for me to explore, and they were willing to support me in that.
Did you did you have any second thoughts after that conversation with your parents? Did you think that baka nga I could just go back to this? Baka I should just stick with this corporate job?
I think so. Yeah, it really came to me then because their opinions also really matter to me, and I like family is something that I really care about.
Yeah, of
So that
course.
was just natural for me to think that way. But I feel like the urge to explore, the urge to get to know myself then and other things beyond what I already learned in my corporate job, like superseded that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So now, fast forward, now setting up this thing. Like this is like running a business is no easy feat. And at the same, so we have a cafe here and the gym over there. Now, talk me through like what was the like initial dream like before you guys actually even set up this thing?
Yeah. So actually, when I resigned, then I had no idea that this was gonna come into place as well. It was just like a property that we never really utilized.
Uh-huh.
And what happened actually before the pandemic was that my parents gave my sister and her husband like a mini project lang. So they were saying, hey, we run this badminton center. It hasn't really been functioning well in a while because we haven't been able to manage it so well
Yeah.
since we're focusing on other parts of our business.
Yeah.
Do you guys wanna kind of handle it first and try to renovate it? Because my brother-in-law was really into gymming, like he does Spartan and stuff. Like he's really active.
Okay.
So they're like, okay, sure. And then they were about to plan things, and then the pandemic happened, and obviously fitness was the first thing out, right? Like you're not
Oh.
allowed to go to gyms and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that caused like a pause to think about, okay, I mean, what's the future of fitness going to be like, right? Especially that was 2020. That wasn't like 2022.
Yeah.
It's not now where like people are starting to go out and
Yeah.
do things again.
The fitness, the dance studio I teach at now opened March 2020. So, sobrang gets kita na parang, fuck, ano na ngayon?
Yeah. So I think that really went on for a while. But even though it was maybe a setback or a roadblock, it gave us an opportunity also to like take a step back and
And really
think
just
back.
plan.
Yeah, and
Oh,
reflect and
okay.
plan na, okay, if we're not just gonna renovate this, we might as well kind of do something bigger around it,
Mhm.
or really plan how we want to put the whole concept into place. Since it felt like it was just about time also to do that. Yeah.
So you had the time, parang, okay, so the opportunity was there. The land was there, the ideas were there, you had people you trust to work with. So I feel like so those factors are there.
Yeah.
But I think the most important one is to know what to do. Like did you learn how to run a business, like a cafe, like the fact that it's a business, that's tough. And then
it's like a food and beverage thing. I'm sure there's like other stuff, and then also the like yung mga permits, business permits. It's like how did you first when you knew that you had to figure out this shit? Like,
Yeah.
did that was there a moment you were scared about it?
Yeah, it was really overwhelming at the start, actually. So we had a lot of arguments around it as to what we wanted to do with the space. We didn't know we wanted the shop here. Did we really want to set up coffee, or was it something else? Because it was like versus corporate where you have certain functions. This one felt like everything, like
It's all
everything
you.
was
Yeah,
possible,
yeah.
right? So you had to really. You can also get crippled by freedom sometimes, I guess. And so it really took some time for us to figure out how we want to set things up from there. So I think where we started would be more on human-centered design. So we did a lot of, FGDs. I think this is where my marketing experience came into
Oh, so you
place.
did a lot of research.
Yeah, we did a lot of
Okay.
research, like more than just injecting our creativity and our creative freedom, I think, around the
And
business.
your ideas, like what I want to happen
Yeah,
here.
we spent a lot of time also trying to get to know what people were feeling, what people needed
Here in Pampanga, this
in
area.
Pampanga, and yes, especially during the pandemic, right? And I think that's where we centered our ideas on when we were creating the brand.
Okay, don't spill all your secrets, but like how do you in the pandemic, how do you get that information? How do you know who to talk to and like what questions did you ask? Ganon. Don't need to tell me the whole thing, of course.
Yeah. I think we just really took the time to like we had an idea, right? It was fitness and maybe something recreational or something centered on leisure. So those were like the specific questions we tried to ask also, and we just started really with our friends or like people close to us because we knew that these were also the kind of people we wanted to attract
Yeah.
into the space, and it just kind of grew from there.
Okay.
Yeah,
How about the running the business part? The
Right.
day to day. Like you can only Google so much. I think to be a business owner, you have to be like it's not there. It's not like okay, I have to do these 10 tasks a day because those tasks always change. And there's a day that you can have the time to go sit and talk with me for a while, but then a day like oh shit, you have to work for the whole day. Like, how did you get into that?
frame of mind.
How did you rewire your brain to become that of an entrepreneur?
Yeah, it was really challenging, I think, at the start because I was so used to having, structure and schedules
Being told what
and
to do.
meetings. Yeah, and being told what to do. This is the plan. So at first it was really challenging, but I think the first step was really trying to be hands-on. So we just didn't set things up expecting that we would hire people who would kind of know what to do. We did a lot of training, for example, ourselves.
Oh, okay.
So we did training for coffee, for barista training, so that we also understood what it meant to do the day-to-day operations
Okay.
and on-the-job training as well. So I think those were things that we really took into consideration, and I think I'm also blessed with the fact that my sister used to run a couple of businesses, and so did my parents. So there was a bit of that guidance also
Yeah.
when we were setting things up.
When it comes to all this like figuring out what to do with your life and stuff, like has your opinion or mindset on it changed? Like, do you think, at least career wise, do you think it's more of things that happen to you? Kasi, like, example, we had this ad. My sister was gonna do this. Parang it's opportunities that kind of presented themselves. Eh? You said nga, you didn't parang plan on opening up a cafe specifically. Like,
Yeah.
do you think it's a lot of, do you think life, career-wise, at least career-wise, it's more of that? Things are happening to you or parang ikaw pa rin talaga yung naghahanap ng opportunities and everything?
I think it's important.
God damn this son. Pero go lang. After
Okay lang.
after this
Let me-
question,
we'll-
I'm gonna adjust my face. But
Sige,
go lang.
sige.
I'm listening.
I think for me, it's important to have some sort of compass as to where you want to go.
Okay.
Because I also kind of believe in the law of attraction, that if you know what you're interested in, you will naturally find people or things that align with your interests. And so it just so happened that because I was interested, for example, in coaching, I was put in environments where there are a lot of people in the space, right? And the more that I talked to them, the more that I saw that, hey, I can do this, or hey, I have this connection. So on and so
Have you read the
forth.
book The Alchemist?
Yeah, a long time ago though in high school.
Me, it's like a few months ago. It was one of the 3 or 4 books I proudly read in this pandemic.
Yeah.
And it's like that, pagano. Like it's I've always been in the like trying to be more? It's like everything's predestined for us and I don't have to do anything, or do I really create my own destiny? Parang you have to know what you want first.
Yeah.
But life is like shit is going to happen to you, and you still don't. 5 years from now, I have a feeling you don't know what that's gonna look like. 5 years from now, I don't know if I'll be doing this podcast. I could be doing a totally different job. Like,
Yeah.
that's what just happens to you. Okay, so moving on. I read a bunch of your articles. Wow, this is so much different. I'm leaning back and the sun is not in my face. Okay, you had this article.
Yeah.
Talking about like your journey of like fixing your not fixing like taking care of your mental health, especially during a pandemic.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people had to go through this. You said, and I quote, "I was swimming inside a seemingly infinite pool, counting my laps and checking the time without realizing that there might be another place to swim." So my question here is, did you talk to anyone to get out of this cycle? I understand that cycle of like just keep on going, pero parang up to that point, my belief was hard work pays off. Like hard work is the way to get shit done. But there might be times that you're working hard on the wrong thing na pala.
Yeah.
That the quitting it might actually be
Be the better
option. How did you get out of that swimming pool?
I think the best way at the time for me to get out of the swimming pool was to really hear stories from different people, to learn more about, case studies, I'd say, like informally, that there are other options out there worth exploring.
And this is just by talking to people.
Yeah, it was just by talking to people. And I guess it so happened that because when you take coaching classes, there are also instances where you are the client and someone else is the coach. So there was also a lot
Wait,
of...
sorry, again? You're the client. That's some... okay.
So when you do training, for example, you don't just act as a coach, but
you have to be the coached.
Yeah, you have to be the
Yeah,
coach.
okay,
You have to be the
okay.
client as well. So there were also a lot of opportunities, I think, for me to process a lot of things that were on my mind at the time. And it helped that I got to talk to, or I allowed myself to talk to so many people outside my typical comfort zone that allowed me to see that, hey, this is actually possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think coaching is something that everybody has to... I mean, that you think everybody should experience and have?
I think it is something worth experiencing
I
because
think the sun is gone. I
Okay,
think it's
there.
okay now again if I sit here. God damn. Sorry. Continue.
lang.
Continue.
So it's better now.
Yeah,
Okay
it's
na.
better. Okay, so sorry. Coaching, you think it's something all people should go through?
I think first off, like coaching is a very new space in the Philippines, and there are different kinds of coaches, different kinds of styles also. So I think the first thing is that it's really important that you get to be coached by someone who is also credentialed or certified because that helps with how they process things with you. But I do think that it is something that's important to have someone help you really understand different things that are going on, just to get like an objective point of view from your friends who might be biased around it, because like coaches are really trained to like
Be objective.
yeah, to not really just to be objective, but to practice with empathy, to understand what's on your mind and ask the right questions to guide you towards a certain process.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're gonna tell you what to do or this is the
Yon.
framework or all of these things, but they just act as guides to help you figure things out for yourself.
Damn.
Yeah.
How was it though that when you became a coach, you were figuring out what it is you had to do? Like how was the oh shit, there's a cute dog. Got distracted. How is it that how did you feel like, besides of course like you took the classes and stuff, so like objectively, technically you're a coach, but like as you're still figuring out what it is you have to do, now you have to guide people into what they should do. How did you like kind of bridge
Make
that
sense
gap?
of that.
Yeah.
I think I really felt like an imposter at the start.
Yun.
Like I didn't wanna claim that, hey, I do coaching. I didn't want to be that kind of person and you know how to fix your life. Here are 3
Yeah.
steps or do this, so on and so forth. But I think what helped during the process of going through different classes for training was that I realized when we were being clients or sometimes we were being coaches that everyone didn't really know what they were doing, what the hell they were doing. And so a lot of my classmates actually were like 50-year-olds, they were CEOs, they were moms, they were dads.
Yeah, older people.
Yeah, much older people, because I think right now that's where the target of coaching is. It's not yet so much with the younger generation, but I could also see that they're also like me. You know, they were figuring out how they could leave their jobs to do something that they were passionate about, or trying to make sense of who they were as people. And then I realized that, you know, you don't really have to get everything figured out. And sometimes you even learn from the people you talk to or the clients when they come up with their realizations themselves.
Yeah.
And it gives you more comfort also that, hey, if this is what came out of the conversation with someone else, I can also do that for me. Yeah.
It's more of like what comes out of the conversations more than like what you specifically say, no?
Yeah, yeah.
When it comes to that whole people are still lost, everyone's figuring out what they have to do. Like I totally I go through that every day. And in the pandemic, I know you've talked about this and you've wrote about this time. Like meditation is a very very important practice. Where I am with that journey though is that I'm slowly still accepting that I don't know what it is. What I want to do with life. I don't know what life is.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you have any advice? I'm getting a free session in here. Do you have any advice on like what's the next step? Because the first step is acknowledging whatever problem you have. First step is accepting. But like I feel kinda sayangan na parang is that it? Like once I accept it, I'm always just not gonna know what I wanna do with life. Like is there something further? So is there something that comes after that?
Well, first off, I think it's good that you're already in a space of acceptance or acknowledgement, because I don't think a lot of people are even in that mindset to kind of get there. So I do recognize that I'd say that's the biggest part actually, being able to accept and recognize those things. I'd say that the second thing, which is a bit more challenging, is to kind of be able to take a step back from your situation and see it in a third person lens. Because I think that's where you get to recognize what it is that you have to kind of do next. Yeah.
So again, it goes back to talking to other people and
I'd say
having those informal case studies.
that's part of it, but also I think it has a lot to kind of do with yourself. It's a mix, I'd say, a hybrid of all sorts of things. It's like allowing your mind to be free, just allowing thoughts to come to you for insights, doing things like journaling, and also getting to talk to people, yes. And then eventually having that set of people or maybe support group that can help push you forward also and keep you accountable when you start doing things, because that's when it gets harder. Sometimes you just know but then you don't do something about it.
Yeah. In those days where you know what to do, have you gone through those? Like there are days that you know what you have to do, you know what the problem is, you know what the solution is gonna look like, but you just can't get yourself to actually work. Like what do you do in those days?
I think those days are really normal for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't shy away
And it's
also
not just
from
being tamad, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not. I would always think kasi ang tamad kong tao, pero di pa like everyone has those kind of days in pala.
Yeah. But I think it's also understanding why you're being like that, because there's always a reason also to why you procrastinate. So for example, sometimes you procrastinate because you feel like you're doing something that's so far off that you can't reach and that cripples you. Or sometimes you're procrastinating because you're actually really tired, and even though you want to work on something, your body tells you that you need to rest. So I think it's also important to understand why you're feeling that way in the first place, so that you can accept it better and know how to manage the situation.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow. That is stored in my brain. Okay. One more quote I'll get from your article.
Okay.
This one, the article is called "A Self-Care Guide to Finding Yourself in Uncertain Times." I think that's been a theme of a lot of things we've been talking about today.
Yeah.
You said you don't have to turn every single interest into an online business or to become a renowned expert in the field. Instead, use your passions to fuel building habits and self-discipline. Okay, with this one naman, I personally really related here kasi I love talking. I turn it into profit. I host. I talk I get paid to talk.
Yeah.
I love to dance. I get paid to dance. And then I love listening to music. And I also love to play music. Now I get paid to DJ and play music. I get worried about is this supposed to just stay as a hobby? Is this something I should turn into a profit? Kasi a lot of how I see is a lot of the careers, successful people, they keep saying that you have to love what you do. And I can't imagine myself loving something that isn't fun, something I don't like to do.
Yeah.
So, in your experience, where do you draw the line on if you should monetize a hobby? Just in your experience, monetize a hobby or turn this thing that you like doing into a profit?
Okay. That's a good question because I think that's also something I thought about a lot.
Uh-huh.
For example, at the time, I knew that I liked talking to people. I found myself as a confidant towards most. And it was only later on that I realized now, oh, maybe this can be something that I can also make a living out of. Not
Yeah.
necessarily full time, but even just part time to help people in the process. But I think my take on that is that you'll never really know until you try.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I think for me it was just starting everything out as like a hobby or as an interest, and then seeing from there if this is something you want to take a step further or take a
Yeah.
notch further.
Have you had any interests though that you said, no, I'm gonna keep this as a
Something
hobby?
for myself.
Yeah.
I'd say interests right now for me that I'd keep that way would be things like physical forms of exercise like
Okay.
running or writing. I think those are things that I'd keep to myself. But I think I also recognize that maybe that's also a fleeting feeling. Maybe a couple years down the line, right? If
Yeah.
I see that it's something that can help me or like can help other people, I might be able to do that as well. Yeah.
Would you say that's a crucial part though when it involves other people, the helping other people? Then that's when where you can. Baka that's a sign that you should. What do you call that? Like scale it. You have to make it a bigger thing. Than this is gonna be my business. Something to do with this feeling of helping other people.
I'd say in a way yes because it helps with the sustainability I think of it.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, you can only give so much of yourself. And when you find a way to keep it running also beyond you, you get to continue doing it also. And I think that's something that I take into consideration when I set things up.
My experience, and we talked about this a little bit kanina, with DJing. So I started playing just by myself, just trying to figure it out,
Yeah.
like before the pandemic. And then I did a few gigs, like a Christmas party, and I've spun in a bar once. And after those, I was like, I think this is something I want to do as a hobby. Then I just kept it that way for like a year, 2 years, and it was only like last month yata that I'm like, wait, I think this is something that I could actually
Do further.
go into and do into my career. Like I don't know, I just wanted to share that. Like there are things na parang like things really change. I think the my biggest takeaway from that is that your mind will always change and things will always change. Something that is so clear and concrete, it's this way now. Tomorrow it can be a totally different thing. For example.
And I think also to parang add to that, when you kind of pursue a passion into more than profit or a business, it's also important to parang keep grounded or realize why you got into this in the first place. Because it's easy like to get parang for everything to feel a little dreamy or lofty when you
Yeah.
start turning it into something profitable. But when you keep yourself grounded and you save a bit of yourself, like kunwari you do DJing and you do a couple of gigs, but also spending time, for example, to just play music on your own
Na
your
it's
own.
not work.
Yeah, that it's not work. Helps
That,
you,
yeah.
keep grounded then.
Yeah, it's the same that I'd say. The same
Yeah.
with my dancing. Like now, kasi when I do the dancing that I get paid for, it's dance fitness or choreograph a wedding. Like it's, I do. That's a good reminder kasi parang medyo nabawasan na yung parang fuel yung love ko for
Yeah.
dance kasi it's like trabaho na naman.
Yeah.
But I should have those like sessions of, I just dance because for the love of it. When it comes to running this business, would you say though that this is something running this is something that you love to do? Is it parang in the folders in your head, is it under the things I like to do for fun?
I think the biggest thing for me here, in terms of running it, is knowing the intention behind it.
Okay.
And I feel like what this is for me is me being able to provide a space or opportunity for people to, just recharge and reconnect and share what I love about Pampanga, what I love about growing up here with other people.
So that's the thing that is fun for you, and it just happens to be in the form of, I have to check the sales for today. I have to check the inventory for today.
Yeah.
The specific like computing shit, for example, or counting how many stock you have left, isn't specifically really fun, but parang it's just one of the ways you get to do this other
other big umbrella of
Yeah.
things. And I think that's why it's
Ooh.
important to always know why you're doing it or set your intentions around something,
Yeah.
because that's what fuels you when you feel like giving up.
Get okay. Oh, another print that in your brain, Anton. Okay. All right. So this is the last part. We're gonna play a quick game.
Okay.
So I like to play this game with all my guests. If Tito Boy has fast talk here
Okay.
on the podcast, we have FausTalk. So no wrong answers. Answer the first thing that comes in your head. But the difference here, I like sometimes ask for like the backstory to it or explanation.
Okay.
So first question is Manila or Pampanga?
Now Pampanga.
Sorry, now Pampanga?
Yeah.
Was there a time that it was Manila?
I'd say so for a time.
Uh-huh.
Before the pandemic, I would have chosen Manila.
Okay. What is it about? What are your, besides the fact that you were born here and grew up here, obviously, like why? What about it?
I feel like it's the best of both worlds. Like you can experience the city, but it's
Uh-huh.
also a bit more provincial or a bit more slow.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the key things that I appreciate about it. And it's not so far from Manila, or it's not so far from like a
Yeah.
beach. It's like the middle ground to everything. And what I also like about Pampanga is that it's very rich in history and culture and heritage. And that's what I realized that with people in Manila, like when you ask them, what do you like about Manila or what is Manila known for? They'll always say, the traffic, things like that,
That's true, though.
pollution. But here, like I think there are a lot of things that I can say that I like about I like about Pampanga, and I feel like it gives me also a sense of pride to know that this is where I'm from and this is what people should know about the place. Then,
Wow. If you could pick one favorite thing about living in Pampanga, what would it be? The top. Sorry, let's take
Yeah.
out family and
Yeah.
that your business is here. Let's take
Okay.
those out.
siguro related to Pampanga would be, I think two things come to mind for me. So first would be Christmas. Like Christmas is so
I have seen
big
the
here.
the parang, I don't, is it a market Christmas?
Yeah, may
Like they have these they have in Europe, they have
Stalls.
these things. You also have that thing here in Pampanga.
Yeah.
So Christmas, okay.
So I feel like it's really well celebrated here, and it's really a part of Kapampangan culture. And I think the second thing would be like food and how everything integrates in different spaces or different areas. So
Uh-huh.
we're very rich in, for example, people don't know that we're known for furniture or food or certain cuisines, and every space has something to offer, I'd say.
Would you say it's kind of like, you know how in Japan,
Yeah, like
there
that.
isn't one, parang there's no Japanese restaurant. Like it's it's this dish.
Yes,
This
yes.
restaurant really focused on this dish. So that kind of, I think that's why this space really works then, no? Parang you have the same values, like this, the cafe, it's not, like the energy, the vibe I get when I'm talking to you about the cafe, it's not annoying. It's not like, oh, you're here to drink coffee. Although a cafe is a place that serves coffee.
Yeah.
Parang it's more of the values behind it. It's just done through a cafe.
Yeah. So the coffee is the means, but there's also something bigger than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, this question is to make me feel better about going home to Manila and the traffic.
Uh-huh.
What is the one thing you miss most about living in the city?
I think it would be probably accessibility and like options.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank God. If you were gonna say friends, I was gonna. Man, that doesn't make me feel better about going back to the same.
Well, I would have said that, but then yeah, para specific to Manila
Accessibility.
naman.
Accessibility, like, well, what is not? I mean, Pampanga's pretty. Like I remember talking
Developed.
to. I got to interview someone from La Union. His example was, like notebook. Like he lives in La Union kasi, so parang if you need, there's no national bookstore here. But then here, I'm pretty sure like you have everything you need here. What would be the
The thing.
yeah?
I think it was also, I used to live in BGC kasi before. So
Uh-huh.
I just like the feeling of freedom. I think I'd say that you could just go down anytime and get anything at a nearby 7-Eleven or what.
In when you were studying at Ateneo for college, were you also
I used to
living
dorm.
so you dormed, and then when you work, you also had a condo.
Yeah.
Did
So
Sorry, go first. And my question.
yeah, no, I think that's also something I miss about Manila, probably the independence of being
Okay.
there and kind of like figuring things out on your own and knowing that you could just do anything by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it feel weird when you moved back to your do you live with your family and your parents now?
Yeah, I do live with them now. It was a weird transition because I was away for so long since
Yeah.
college. So there were a lot of adjustments I think to be made because I was used to, just being able to decide for myself, and now
Yeah.
you always have to consider your family or like what time you're going home, all of those
Wait,
things.
do you have like curfews and stuff?
I wouldn't say they're super strict, but then a little bit, yeah.
There's that
They're still
vibe. Like there's
concerned.
like it's not. I mean, if I think at this age, parang if you say na, oh, I can't go home tonight, like I have to sleep somewhere else, for example. Parang pwede naman, but the fact that you have to like go to that, you have to talk to someone about
Yeah.
it to kind of inform.
And
That's
then depends on the mood if it's also like okay lang or
yeah,
no,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Did it? Was it in your like? Did you see yourself living in Pampanga again with your parents, like pre-pandemic? Did you think that you were gonna go home again for a while, live there for a couple of years?
I wasn't sure. I think. I mean, like, I wouldn't say it was a shutdown, no,
Uh-huh.
but it wasn't something I super considered yet because
Okay.
I felt like there was more independence in me to explore.
Yeah. Is independence overrated for you?
I think it's.
I mean, independence of like, oh, I live alone. That specific independence.
Mm, I think there are other ways to also achieve that kind of independence, but for someone growing up in like your 20s,
Mhm.
I recognize that it is also an important feeling, and a lot of people just see that as as the means to feel a sense of independence.
The living alone thing.
Yeah, the living
so
alone thing.
Okay. Okay, nice. All right.
Yeah,
Okay, here, coffee related questions. What's your favorite coffee?
flat white.
Flat white. That's the. Does that have milk or?
Yeah, so it's espresso with less milk because usually lattes have a bit more milk, so
Have a
you get
latte
to
of milk.
taste the
Uh-huh.
coffee more.
Did you have to? Do you know how to like? Create a. I know there's like an art. There's an art.
Yeah,
Do
latte
you know how
art.
to, latte and no, I meant just the whole coffee game.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
are you like a certified parang barista or?
Yeah, well, I did training
You went with the
also.
training.
So I know how to do the ops, like how to calibrate the machine, how to pull shots,
how much?
to...
How much ml you have to put in?
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, okay. What is your as a cafe owner and someone who is trained in the art of coffee? What is your thought about people who say their favorite coffee is a Starbucks Frappuccino?
I think it's... I mean, I think it's part of what we're used to. Like, this is where we really grew up, diba?
Yeah.
And drinking Starbucks, drinking fraps, and stuff. So I don't think there's a part of me that really judges people for that
Uh-huh.
because I think there are certain profiles who would like say,
yeah.
say against that. For me, how I see coffee is that it's like a means to what I like about the coffee scene now and where it's headed is that it's a means for people to connect with origins of your food sources. Like,
oh, food.
yeah, so-
Okay.
and I guess I mean that in the sense of like coffee beans. So
Okay.
like third wave coffee or like where we are now in the coffee scene.
Sorry, third wave coffee. There
Yeah.
are 3 waves.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So
Okay,
could
okay.
you tell me about this? What are these?
So the
waves?
first wave kasi is like instant coffee. So your typical
Okay.
Nescafe or like powdered coffee that you see
Yeah.
in supermarkets. That's how the coffee scene really started eh. And then eventually it went to the second wave. So second wave is more of Starbucks,
Mhm.
yung mga coffee bean,
Yeah.
typical coffee chains.
But it's not instant coffee.
Yeah, not-
may ano na siya, parang may
yeah.
art na siya eh. May
And
heritage
not
na siya.
instant coffee, but it's very centered on the experience. And then
Okay.
that's where coffee went. And now we're like approaching what we call the third wave. So third wave is more of like small mom and pop cafes that
Ooh.
focus more on the origin of your beans, farmers, ethical trading,
Oh,
caring
okay.
about the coffee itself more than just the flavors of like, sweet drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So parang is that like a pandemic thing din kaya? Na it's like like you take it home eh. Parang you wanna I'm sure I think a lot of people have learned how to make their own coffee at home, have to go through those processes.
Yeah, and I think people, because of the pandemic, people who were into coffee spent more time to be more knowledgeable also about it. So a lot of people are also getting into the scene as well.
Is it kind of like wine? You know how there's a I don't for me wine is wine, like it's red or white.
Yeah.
And there are some differences, but people can really like I didn't know you can really dive
Go
into
into the flavors.
Medyo ganun pa yan with
Yes,
coffee,
yes.
with the origin, how it's
Yeah,
made.
and like
ganun.
each coffee bean also has a certain flavor note that you also take into consideration. So there are events like similar to wine tasting, they call it coffee cupping. So you get to taste different beans of coffees and how they taste like also. So I think it's more of like why people are into Starbucks is also because they're not yet in that space where
Yeah.
they can learn more about
Oh,
you
level
know,
1.
yeah, kumbaga level 1. And so I think
Ah.
it's about giving them an opportunity to learn more also about the scene.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Ask you questions. Okay, about running a business. What is your favorite thing about running a business?
I think my favorite thing is that you get to mix a bit of work and play.
Okay.
Yeah, so
In what sense?
in a sense where it's not frequent, for example, that you get to work and also see your friends at work and spend time to chat
Oh.
with them or insert a bit of personal things that you want to
Yeah.
do, personal ideas that you have into the space.
Because this is a cafe. And,
Yeah.
it's a social. The business is like there's a social aspect talaga to that business. Eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's something that I get to appreciate more versus like other like my old setup where it was really just work and then life after work.
Mm.
And there can be also challenges with that, but I'd say parang net
Mm-mm.
it's like a better option for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question. Most challenging thing about running a business.
I think most challenging thing would be like not knowing what comes up each day. Like you can have a certain plan and then
Yeah.
you know some like there's gonna be a certain problem that you won't know how to fix
Yeah.
until the moment comes. So because you're also in the service industry, you have to deal with a lot of people,
Yeah.
whether that be customers or whether that be figuring out the
Suppliers.
supplier staffing. And I think that's really the most challenging part, being able to handle all of those things, because it can also feel like a lot of glitz and glamour that you run a shop, but
Yeah.
people also don't see the
behind
day to
scenes.
day, the behind the scenes, that it can really take a toll sometimes, and you just have to understand your intent so you can keep on going.
Ito might be might be kind of goaded. What's the first? We were talking about a bunch of this a while ago, like discovering your path, trying to figure out what it is you should be doing. What's the first thought that pops into your head when you ask yourself, "What is my purpose in life?"
That's a hard question. What is my purpose
First
in
thought
life?
that comes in your head when you ask yourself that.
Well, I think the first thing that comes in my head is actually wait. I have something right on my phone.
Okay.
This is like oh no, I changed it. Never mind, it's not here.
It was your wallpaper
It
before.
was my wallpaper
Gets,
before,
gets.
but now it's not. Okay. I think it was about in the lines of staying interesting through being interested.
Staying interesting through being interested. Oh, I love that. I've heard variations of that, but it's
Yeah. I think that
it's-
would be it.
yeah. Okay.
Like, because people think that you think you have to be a certain person to be interesting, but I
Yeah.
think you're most interesting when you're interested in, other people, in other like fields and
Yeah.
those kinds of things.
It's like in your work, parang you were interested in the marketing, in the understanding people. It's because you were interested in that. That's what made the whole thing interesting, because you were really into that. And it was you. Okay, gets. How do you deal with imposter syndrome?
How to deal with imposter syndrome? I think it's really parang starting off with small steps, like just trying to wade in the waters also before diving
Mhm.
right in.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like the first thing that I'd say you'd have to consider.
For example, like, have you had this experience? So you're running this business. It's upline everything. Did you have any of those days and you wake up like, oh my god, what am I doing? Like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
it's good
yeah.
naman so far. Nothing has burned down, but like, have you had one of those days?
Yeah. I think there are days na parang you find yourself thinking na, why am I doing all
Yeah,
of these
yeah.
things, diba? But I think it's also a parang mindset shift na sometimes you have to also be able to like I think kasi imposter syndrome comes from a lack of confidence also in yourself
Mhm.
and thinking so much about what other people think.
Think about okay.
And it's also recognizing that when you become more true to who you are and you allow yourself to be that person, imperfections included, you get to parang you get to gain more confidence in yourself and bring those kinds of people also into your life.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome. Okay, I've tried to attack it, approach it different ways, but I haven't thought of that. It's I think imposter syndrome, a lot of it is fueled by how you think other people are gonna think about you.
Yeah.
My God, that's always the like. There's so many problems. It's because you're worried about what other people think about you. Like, you just
Yeah.
gotta stop giving a fuck. Okay. Okay. Last two questions. I always like asking my guests this, totally unrelated to everything we talked about. But what is a song that you would recommend to me? And when I say this, I don't want you to give me a song that's like, okay, I think Anton will like this song, or oh, I think he likes to listen to this type of music. What's a song recently that you encountered and you're like, this is a good song, this is art?
That's hard.
Do you like listening? Do you
Yeah,
like
yeah,
listening
I
to
like
music?
listening to music.
No, take your time. And
Okay, okay,
if you have more than one
Can I
song,
scroll through
yeah,
Spotify?
go.
Wait.
If you have
Hanap
more
ako.
than one song, also, even better.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite things about traveling, about meeting new people, is getting their songs.
Sige. I wanna choose a nice song. Oh, I have Frank Moody here, speaking of.
The thing with me with Frank Moody though, parang he has one vibe.
Yeah. They're all kind of similar.
Yeah. So I mean, he got that vibe down, but like, I'm not gonna listen to him the whole day.
Gets. Here, On Top of the World, I'd say.
Oh, okay. I know that. I know.
You know that song,
Yeah,
Stephen Day.
Yeah. I found that because I was parang on the Spotify radio of John Mayer yata.
Oh,
Then
really? They're there.
But it's only that song of that artist that I'm like, wow, this is a really good song.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you give me another one?
I'd say A Dream of You and Me by Future
Ooh,
Islands.
I've not heard this. A Dream of You and Me.
Yes.
Okay, let me write this.
When You Feel the Time is Right.
Oof. These are very, these are deep songs, huh? When you feel the time is right.
Yeah. By Kim Chi.
Oh, there's one more.
I just really like this rendition of the song Kids. You know, Kids by MGMT. It's called The Spins, Mac Miller.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's it. Isn't it ano? Isn't it Walking on a Dream?
Yeah. But then there's like a rendition where Mac Miller has like a mix with it.
It's not The Spins.
Yeah, The Spins.
Oh,
that
The
one.
Spins, The Spins.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
you know that.
I thought there was another song where he...
No.
Do you know
no.
the song The Thrill by Wiz Khalifa?
No.
Okay, so I'll suggest you that to you that one.
Sige.
Kasi the thing with The Spins, by Mac Miller rapped over like an older song.
Yeah.
Parang Wiz Khalifa did that also, but I don't know what song it's based on. Basta The Thrill
Sige.
by Wiz Khalifa.
I'll check
Okay,
it out.
thank you very much.
yes.
All right. Last and final question. What is your message to young entrepreneurs who also want to try to set up their own business?
I think that you can plan all you want, or you can kind of have an idea of what it is that you want as your end goal, for example. But you're never really gonna know until you set foot into the waters and try for
Yeah.
yourself. And a lot of things you're gonna have to figure out along your
Along
way.
the way.
And that's okay.
Sorry, God, that was the episode could have ended there, but I am curious.
Yeah.
Before you opened this, did you feel like you were ready? Like, was there confidence na parang, yeah, sige, kaya ko naman to? Or was this really like, shit, let's see what's gonna happen?
I think, I wouldn't say I felt ready when it happened. It's something that for me at least, I felt as I kept on going. And I wouldn't even say that I feel ready about it now. Like each day, I'm like, I don't know if this is enough, or there's always something new that comes up.
Yeah.
And I don't know when I'll ever feel ready, but at
Mhm.
least I know that I'm trying. And I think that's what's most
Yeah,
important.
and oh my God, well, at least just from the outside perspective, everything looks great. I would love to come back here. Yeah, so with that, thank you very much.
Thank
Again, I
you.
applaud everything you're doing. I really respect and look to people who can leave the corporate job, leave the nice salary, the nice job, the secure future, and then to jump into something you have no clue what it is like. So thank you very much. I hope you set up more businesses and make more people happy and keep doing your thing.
Glad to be here.
Thank
Thank you.